On November 2024, you posted on X that a, quote, must do, close quote, for the Trump administration will be to, quote, review every four-star appointed by Biden and thank many for their service before firing them. Mr. Tata, what evaluations did you do for each of the dozens of four-star generals and admirals to convince you that each of them needed to be fired?
Senator, that comment was in response to a CNN article that had credible sources that several admirals and generals were having discussions on how to resist lawful orders from the president usurping his Article II constitutional authority as commander-in-chief, which I find unacceptable. I think we can all agree.
Folks, let me tell you, the hearing we just witnessed wasn't just another routine back and forth in Washington. No, this was something much deeper. Senator Elizabeth Warren went after a Trump nominee, Mr. Anthony Tata, over his past social media posts, trying to paint him as some sort of radical threat to the sacred principle of civilian control over the military. What unfolded was more than a policy debate. It was a battle over what kind of country we're going to be. Do we remain a nation grounded in loyalty to the Constitution and respect for the commander-in-chief? Or do we continue sliding into a system where unelected bureaucrats, military elites, and political operatives undermine the will of the American people? And that, my friends, is exactly what's at stake. Welcome to America Viewpoint, where we speak the truth, defend our freedoms, and fight for the values that made this nation great. No censorship. No woke spin, just bold, unfiltered commentary from real Americans who love this country. If you're tired of the lies and ready to stand for faith, family, and freedom, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the Liberty Bell, because this is where the fight begins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our military is strong because each member pledges loyalty to the Constitution, not to a specific president or a political party. And in return, military service and promotion are not tied to a political party or personal loyalty. President Trump threatens that political neutrality with no explanation. He has fired the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the chief of naval operations. Secretary Hegseth has purged top military lawyers and called for removing, quote, woke generals. Former defense secretaries have called this a, quote, new political standard for military service. So, Mr. Tata, if confirmed, you would be the Defense Secretary's principal advisor on personnel matters. You've already made your views clear. On November 2024, you posted on X that a, quote, must do, close quote, for the Trump administration will be to, quote, review every four-star appointed by Biden and thank many for their service before firing them. Mr. Tata, what evaluations did you do for each of the dozens of four-star generals and admirals to convince you that each of them needed to be fired?
Senator, that comment was in response to a CNN article that had credible sources that several admirals and generals were having discussions on how to resist lawful orders from the president usurping his Article II constitutional authority as commander-in-chief, which I find unacceptable. I think we can all agree that the Constitution of the United States that we swear an oath of office to, that I have done for many times in my career, is the ultimate penultimate document that we support and that we swear an allegiance to. And so if there were people that were having those conversations, if there were admirals and generals that were having those conversations.
Mr. Tata, I have your tweet here, and your tweet doesn't say, I want to investigate person by person and see what they've done. I also want to make clear that when generals are having conversations about what to do if they receive illegal orders so that they can still follow their obligations under the Constitution of the United States, then they are following the law. They are not breaking the law. But let's go on to what else you have said.
Senator, if I might, the article said controversial. did not say illegal. And so controversial is very subject
So
to
you
interpretation.
want, I just want to clarify here, you want to say, you want to fire everybody. I've got your tweet here.
I don't want to fire
Because you
anybody,
think
Senator.
they gave controversial statements? I'm sorry, it says before firing them. Mr. Chairman, could I enter this into the record, please? Mr. Tata's tweet.
Is there objection? There being no objection, it is
All right.
so admitted.
Let me try another one. On November 2024, you posted on X that the Trump administration should choose only leaders who are, quote, all oars in the water to achieve Trump Agenda 47. That suggests that you believe that generals should be picked for loyalty to Donald Trump. Is that right? Is that what you believe?
That is not what I believe, Senator.
Then why did you post this?
Well, I was a private citizen when I posted that, and
So when you were a private citizen, you said things you didn't believe?
as
Still are a private
Agenda
citizen
47.
right now, Mr. Tata.
Senator, let him answer the question.
Senator, I'm respectfully trying to answer your question. Agenda 47 talks about shipbuilding. It talks about reducing the wars that we engage in. And so as a leader, I support the idea, I
Chairman?
support the president's vision that he had in Agenda 47, though, from a foreign policy perspective, and that's what I was
That
referring
is
to.
not what this tweet says. Mr. Chairman, may I enter this tweet into the record?
Without objection.
In January 2025, just 4 months ago, Mr. Tata, you posted on X that planning for President Trump's inauguration should, your word, assume that the National Guard and DOD are, quote, compromised at a minimum by hatred of the incoming administration. What information did you have about each member of the Guard and DOD that caused you not only to draw this conclusion, but to put it out there in public?
Senator, I had no information that
So you just said it about our Guard. You know, competence is based on the experience and performance of a military leader. Evidently, you have no information individually about the generals, the admirals, and the members of our National Guard and DOD who serve this country, and yet you're willing to say that they all need to be fired or treated as traitors. You seem to think that if a general or admiral was promoted during a Democratic administration, that person should be automatically fired. That's just a political purge and a pretty standard move for a dictatorship. I think it disqualifies you for this office.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's set the stage. Senator Warren opens by reminding everyone that our military is supposed to swear loyalty to the Constitution, not a president, not a party. That sounds good, right? Every American can agree the Constitution is the foundation. But then she takes it a step further. She claims President Trump undermined that neutrality by firing top generals, by purging so-called woke leaders, and by promoting those who aligned with his vision. She essentially suggests that Trump was politicizing the military. Now, here's where the fireworks start. Warren confronts Tata with his old tweets. One from November 2024, saying the Trump administration should review every four-star general appointed by Biden and thank many for their service before firing them. Warren jumps on this, asking, what evaluations did you conduct? What makes you think all these officers should be canned? Tata pushes back. He says that tweet was a response to a CNN article about generals discussing ways to resist lawful orders from a president. Think about that. High-ranking officers allegedly entertaining the idea of defying the commander-in-chief. Tata calls that unacceptable. He insists his loyalty is to the Constitution, not to any unlawful scheme to undercut it. But Warren won't let go. She counters that generals have an obligation to resist illegal orders and that discussing that isn't rebellion, it's duty. To her, Tata's stance looks like blind loyalty to Trump. Let's break this down. Tweet 1. Fire Biden's generals. Tata says context matters. Warren says it proves he wants a political purge. Tweet 2. Pick only leaders who are all oars in the water for Trump's Agenda 47. Warren frames this as demanding loyalty to Trump personally. Tata insists it referred to defense priorities like shipbuilding and ending endless wars. Tweet 3. In January 2025, Tata claimed the National Guard and DoD were compromised by hatred toward Trump. When pressed, he admits he had no hard evidence. It was a private opinion, a suspicion based on how many in the Pentagon treated Trump. Warren seizes on this, saying he smeared the honor of the Guard and painted loyal service members as traitors. In Warren's eyes, this all adds up to disqualification. She says it amounts to dictatorship, purges, loyalty tests, distrust of the rank and file. And in her final words, she tells Tata that his approach is a political purge and a pretty standard move for a dictatorship. Strong words, no doubt. Now here's where I step in. Friends, this is bigger than Anthony Tata. This is about whether America still allows its leaders to challenge the sacred cows of Washington without being smeared as authoritarian. First, let's be crystal clear. Our military should never become anyone's political plaything. Its oath is to the Constitution, not to a man. But here's the catch. The President of the United States is the elected commander-in-chief. Article 2 of the Constitution gives him that authority. So when generals allegedly discuss how to resist lawful orders, that's not noble. That's not constitutional guardianship. That's dangerous talk that edges toward insubordination. Warren tries to spin this as protecting against illegal orders, but Tata wasn't objecting to illegal orders. He was objecting to elites pre-planning resistance to lawful authority simply because they didn't like the man voters put in office. That, my friends, is subversion. Second, Warren accuses Tata of wanting a political purge. But wasn't Trump himself purged from office in every way imaginable? Didn't we see unelected officials, intelligence insiders, and partisan appointees do everything they could to sabotage him? The hypocrisy is glaring. If Biden fires generals and replaces them with his loyalists, that's restoring professionalism. If Trump even considers it, suddenly it's a dictatorship. Where's the accountability? Third, Tata's comments about the Guard being compromised might not have been phrased perfectly. But was he totally off base? Remember, in January 2025, the air was thick with hostility against Trump from within the establishment. Leaks, open defiance, contempt for his supporters. Was it unreasonable for a private citizen to wonder if that culture seeped into the Guard or the Pentagon? Folks, if anything, it shows how deep the divide has grown. This is not just about one man's tweets. It's about whether we believe in civilian oversight of the military. It's about whether loyalty to the Constitution includes respecting the lawful authority of a president we may not personally like. Senator Warren wants you to believe she's defending democracy. But if you read between the lines, what she's defending is a permanent class of military elites who see themselves as the ultimate referees of politics. That's not democracy. That's a Praetorian Guard. Trump's vision was simple: America first. Strengthen the military, cut endless wars, and make sure the Pentagon isn't a revolving door for woke ideology and political agendas. That doesn't sound like dictatorship. That sounds like leadership. And let me ask you, what's more dangerous? A president firing generals who openly oppose him, or generals who believe they have the right to undermine a president chosen by the people? That's not leadership. That's surrender to an unelected class. Let's talk values. Free speech. Warren herself ridicules Tata for saying things as a private citizen that she claims disqualify him. Wait a second. So now private opinions are career-ending? What happened to free speech? What happened to judging someone by their performance, not by their tweets? Constitutional authority. The Constitution is clear. The president is commander-in-chief. If we start treating that authority as optional, if generals get to pick and choose, we no longer have a republic. We have a shadow government. Patriotism versus politics. Warren frames patriotism as resisting Trump. But true patriotism means loyalty to the Constitution, even when you don't like the president. Patriotism isn't blind loyalty to a party, but neither is it rebellion against lawful authority because you don't like the results of an election. Where's the accountability when senators smear decorated officers for daring to support Trump's agenda? Where's the fairness when only one side gets accused of politicizing the military, while the other side openly installs loyalists without scrutiny? Why is defending the Constitution called authoritarian, while undermining the commander-in-chief is dressed up as courage? These are the questions Americans are asking, and Washington has no answer. At the end of the day, Anthony Tata is just one man. Maybe his tweets were blunt. Maybe his words could have been chosen more carefully. But the principle he was defending is timeless. Respect for the Constitution, civilian control of the military, and the right of the American people, through their elected president, to direct the armed forces. Elizabeth Warren wants to scare you into thinking Trump and his nominees want dictatorship. But what she's really defending is the same old entrenched system that thinks it knows better than you, better than your vote, better than your Constitution. And that, my friends, is the real threat to democracy. This hearing was more than political theater. It was a warning shot. It showed us how far some in Washington will go to delegitimize anyone who dares stand with Trump, who dares to question the establishment, who dares to say America must come first again. But here at America Viewpoint, we won't be silenced. We won't be intimidated. We won't let them rewrite history or redefine patriotism. This is America Viewpoint, where we don't whisper, we roar. We stand tall, speak loud, and never back down from defending truth and liberty. If this message fired you up, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the fight for America doesn't end when the video does. Until next time, stay strong, stay free, and may God bless the United States of America.